Witchcraft belief is a reality in Africa. It is a reality. It is not an abstract concept. It is not something that is just there in the air, like the ideas and so forth. For its manifestation, whatever the form is, and also the consequences of witchcraft are real.
And this morning, I think it is a great pleasure for me to introduce the first speaker. He's going to talk to us on the topic, witchcraft, a challenge to communal life and a vector of abuse of human rights. I think if you look at the program, there is some bit of adjustment. I think that is because of some materials that he expected to get, but then he was not able to get them. So there's a bit of adjustment on the topic. Our speaker, for a big part of his career, has been working in Goma and Kinshasa in the Democratic Republic of Congo, DRC. So I think he got enough experience that must have exposed him to issues of witchcraft, and I think he must have been involved in solving some problems of witchcraft. So our speaker is a resource person, I think, who's going to speak to us from experience and from an informed perspective. So our speaker is Father Noel Kindo. Some of us don't know Father Noel Kindo, but Father Noel Kindo comes from Burkina Faso in West Africa. And he belongs to the congregation of the missionaries of Africa, I think famously known as White Fathers. So ladies and gentlemen, please join me in welcoming Father Kindo to give his presentation. May I request Father Kindo, before he starts, to lead us in a prayer, and then he continues with his presentation. Thank you.
Good morning, brothers and sisters. So my topic today is about witchcraft. Yes, that is a challenge for the African communal life, and also a vector of abuse of human rights. Thank you, Mr. Osede, for the introduction. And before I start, I would like to say that I'm very grateful to Father Kanike for his presentation of yesterday, because after that I was looking at my own presentation and I was seeing that maybe there is a need just to leave part of it, not to mention it, because he has so well expressed it. And I felt that it is really a good background for what I'm going to say today. Let me start with a brief introduction. Witchcraft belief is a reality in Africa. It is a reality. It is not an abstract concept. It is not something that is just there in the air, like the ideas and so forth. manifestation, whatever the form is, and also the consequences of witchcraft are real. Even though its understanding and the response we give to it may vary from one community to another, or sometimes from one country to another, the impact of witchcraft are basically the same. Alleged witches either undergo ritual of reintegration within the community, or they are excluded from participating fully in the life of their community, or they are persecuted, or they are even killed. So it's something that is of reality. Hence, they face the violation of their basic human rights. So this short article I'm going to present here looks critically at the phenomenon of witchcraft, its manifestation, and how it continues in a manner that is almost accepted by the society to human rights abuse. Allow me to come back briefly on what I think witchcraft is. The word witchcraft may differ from one community to another in terms of meaning, but there are also some similarities. When I look at the reality of witchcraft in Burkina Faso, in Ghana, in Kenya, in DRC, and in Uganda, at least where I have passed, and even in Tanzania, I see that yes, there are similarities in belief and also in the way witchcraft is expressed. The witch is generally someone who is considered to have supernatural powers that he or she uses to harm others. According to Bernard is one of the missionaries of Africa who has been much involved in the pastoral with the witches of the people, or the people alleged to be witches. He has been in that for many years in Zambia. For him, he says that in Zambia, witchcraft is a force that has an intrinsic connection to the soul. So yesterday, Father Kaniko was putting the difference between the witchcraft and the sorcerer. Yeah? The particularity of the witch is that it has an intrinsic connection to the soul of the witch. It is never a neutral force, but always a force with a connection to the soul. It tries to make a connection also to the victim. Hence, the most basic parameters of witchcraft are a witch. There is no witchcraft without a witch. And a victim who is being manipulated in body, in mind, or soul, or whose fortunes are being manipulated. End of quotation. Therefore, witches are considered as evildoers, people who have murderous goals, people who need to be exposed and dealt with. And this is done through lynch justice, or expulsion of those regarded as witches. Still from Bernard. Isaac Newton says that witchcraft refers to a belief in the perpetration of harm by person through mystical means. And all the aspect of fear is linked to that mystical aspect of witchcraft. Another one who has written a lot about witchcraft is Alfred Shorter, another missionary of Africa. For him, he sees witchcraft as a way of locating the origin of unmerited misfortune within the human sphere. The witch, as it were, takes the place of the devil. So witchcraft is an image of implacable, unrepentant human wickedness. There is inherited witchcraft and acquired witchcraft. The latter is done through initiation that makes the person's soul akin to the power of witchcraft. However, this approach that I've just enumerated differs a bit from that of the well-known in Uganda, Anatoli and Eri Merima, who believe that witchcraft is a lie that is taught through a tough, elaborate, complicated technique of recruiting, training candidates, which calls on the part of the new recruits determination, exceptional courage, in a way that the new recruits do not realize that they're involving themselves in a lie. So witchcraft is real in many African societies. It continues to interfere in politics. It is much more visible in politics, in business, and also, unfortunately, even in our very holy religious communities. There are cases of religious people who look for witchcraft to be elected, maybe as provincials. I've met some cases like this, or superior generals, and so forth, which means that it is not only a problem of those we call the unbelievers, those out there, but even behind the rosaries and the big crosses. Sometimes the reality of witchcraft is there. In my own diocese of Dedubu, Burkina Faso, I'm giving you an example. There was a Carmelite community. How do you call them? Those who are really isolated. You cannot even have access to their convent. Okay? And every year, after the ordination, the first mass of those who are ordained should be there. It is almost 10 kilometers from the city. And when I was ordained, our group, we were 5. We also went there to have mass before even going to our families and so forth. The next day after the ordination, you go there for the first mass. And it is an international congregation. There were people from Kindo, from Togo, from Benin, some from Europe, and it was the center of the diocese in terms of faith. The last time I went for holidays, I was trying to inquire, and one of the priests told me, this community has been closed down. Why? Because the members have started accusing each other of witchcraft. The bishop tried to mediate, but failed. So there was a necessity to take an extreme decision, and the community was just shut down. So when I say witchcraft is real even in our communities, it is out of experience also. That a syncretist life is also still present. And that explains why witchcraft is very complicated. Because even those who say they believe in the Almighty God, sometimes they believe more in the power of witchcraft than in the power of Jesus. For Peter Geshe, witchcraft is something that defies all classification and all distinctions. The diffuseness of the discourse seems to be the secret of its power, because you cannot locate it exactly at one place, and you cannot give it one exclusive meaning. It has different faces, different appearances. So that's make it impossible to grab. There are usually two attitudes when one is faced with the issue of witchcraft. There are those who believe that witchcraft is really real. When I mean real, I don't talk of the consequences of it, but I say it is really real. And that it ought to be eliminated from society. And on the other side, there are those who regard witches as not existing, as non-existent phantasm of people who live in a pre-scientific world. There are two extremes. Let me go briefly to the characteristic of the witch. The characteristics of a witch are based often on prejudice and an ill knowledge of the law of natural biology. An extraordinary sign is often suspicious, and a person can be accused due to unusual behavior. You see, that's why I'm saying that Father Kanika has practiced so well yesterday that now I'm feeling like I'm repeating for the time being. Another Shorter asserts that outwardly witches are like ordinary people, but inwardly they have a secret allegiance to evil. Example of witchcraft belief are as follow. Witches are born with the top teeth growing first. That's according to Shorter. When the baby is born and the upper teeth is longer than the others. Some community they say that this child is a witch. In some other society or in the modern science, in French we call it bec de lièvre, when the mouth is disformed and the teeth are not in the right way. There is an operation to repair that. Witches have red eyes. They have a very black skin. They have very ugly faces. They can make themselves invisible. They can turn into wild animals. They dance naked on graves. They hold sacred Sabbaths and covens. They dig up the dead and either eat them or resurrect them as their servants. They fly through the air on the back of night birds. I think those from Sumbawanga know more about that. Sometimes they are associated with hyenas and scavenging animals. Why am I taking or bringing up these examples that is cited by Admiral Shorter? Just to let you know and to see the opacity of the characteristics. Okay? From there, you will have very scientific mind. Now, basing myself on this, you see that there is a problem there, and the problem will come later on. therefore you are a witch. Is it really reasonable? Or can I say because you have red eyes, therefore you have been eating people? So looking closely at shelter's characteristic of a witch, one notes that there could easily be some abuses if such criteria are to be applied fully. So criteria such as red eyes, very black skin, ugly faces could easily be used to abuse innocent people with these traits.